Hey, it's Stage Door, two old guys who don't know nothing about theater doing a podcast about theater. Sponsored by Plate One in downtown Toledo. We're talking to Stephanie Dennehy from Cutting Edge Theater, spelled T-R-E.
So I met you. Do you even remember when the first time I
saw you?
You actually remember?
Well, I don't remember you,
of course,
but I remember your son, and I remember a lot of people were afraid of me. So that's what I remember about Susan.
You were a nutball.
I am a nutball,
and it was great.
I don't think I've changed much.
It was a,
yeah.
It was a
just so we get that clear.
It was a wonderful introduction for musical theater for my son, who had never done it before. Now he was rocking. What was he? 6?
Well, is he the same age as Ian?
He is 17 now.
Okay, so no, he's a little bit older because both my boys were in it too, if you remember, and they were itty bitties then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I think that at that time, I was just doing choreography, but I didn't take a lot of crap from people, and
you're all hesitant to say the word crap.
No, well, the bottom line is that you had a lot of people that you were having on stage, and you had to deal with a lot of different age levels and talent levels, dance wise. So I was like, we are not messing around here, people. So
it was an army. Yeah, it was an army of people. You were dealing with a army of kids and families, I should say, not just kids, but the kids were. And I remember you doing this, and I was like, I like this lady. I like her. She isn't taking anything from anybody. Because I just remember, I'm going to pull a microwave from my face so I can do it with my imitation of you. But you were like, turn around. I was like, I love it. I love this. And all these little kids were just like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. But think about it. I mean, I think that a lot of times in theater, unfortunately, we do get too complacent and that the expectation becomes mediocre. And so therefore, I've never been that way. I expect the utmost from you, and I expect the utmost from the group. And let's be very clear. I would never expect anything more from you than I would not expect from myself. So I expect the utmost, highest level of ability that I can produce for you so that you can be at your best.
And I love
right?
it. I love it because...
But that's what I'm saying. So I think a lot of times, because it is difficult. Let's be very clear also that teaching dance to different levels of skill, all in the same group, is very hard. So you have to expect some people to step up and other people who are just going to be like, oh, well, this isn't the greatest choreography or hard enough for me, but it's somewhere in the middle.
Right. But no, that's important. You're right. I love everything you're saying there because, like I said, Ron had introduced me to the theater group that this was through, and this was the very first show that my son had done. So for me, we had no idea what to expect. We had no expectations for real.
Sure.
And for us to see how it was being done by you, I thought it was great. I thought, okay, this is because I come from a sports background,
right?
And this is great. This feels a lot like a coach yelling at the kids, but you weren't yelling in a mean way.
No,
not at all.
No, and honestly, I come from a very different background than most people in Toledo.
Right, let's hear that.
Okay.
How did you get stuck in Toledo?
Do we have to... Okay.
No, I want to hear this.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Dennehy, and I have my degree from Western Michigan University, and then I basically kind of traveled. I did work in Detroit. I certainly did... I did modeling gigs. You kind of do everything else, when you're in the theater world. It's not just, let me just be clear, it's not always just theater. You do what it's going to take to pay the bills. So if I need to be a model today, then that's what I am. If I need to, do some voiceover work, then that's what it is. And I was an equity actor prior to moving to Toledo. And an equity actor is like a union, like a carpenter's union. So in order to become union, you have to do so many union shows and you earn points and then you earn your equity card.
Right.
Or which is what I did, I happened to do 2 shows that were equity back to back, and the theater thought I was worthy, and they offered me my equity card then.
Nice.
So I got my equity card in a kind of a different way, but I was working actor. I was a working actor. That's what I did for my living prior to moving here. I met someone and I ended up getting married, and I came here to Toledo under the premise that I was still going to be able to work, and I was going to teach at a performing arts high school, which ended up being good but not good. I have since discovered I'm just not a organized school teacher type person. First of all, I swear too much, and I yell too much.
You do swear too much.
Yes, I swear way too much. And so, I have to teach at a certain level, anything under than 15, and I'm like, So, yeah.
So, funny though, because my wife swears a shit ton too, and she does, and
right.
Somehow she manages to turn it off, but it does slip out.
No, it does, and it's also I know that I'm hindering myself from being myself, and I don't like that.
Right, you got a passion for this stuff,
right.
and sometimes it just flows out of you, and it just flows out. Like when we talked about doing this podcast, you're like, oh man, I drop a lot of F-bombs. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This isn't going on TV. We're all good.
Yeah, but so that's how I ended up here. And then approximately 6 years ago, I became very disillusioned with a lot of the local theater companies, and knowing that there was no professional work here, I thought, okay, what do I have to offer? And what I have to offer is something I felt different than what was being presented in the area. So therefore, I was like, well, I need to do my own thing. I don't want to be anybody's
lackey.
Yeah.
Oh, you were.
I don't know. I was going to say something different, but anyway. Yeah. So I just thought, you know what, this isn't working for me. So I'm going to do my own thing. And that's kind of where Cutting Edge came from. Really, I had thought in the past about starting my own theater company, but.
I would call it a theater company. I mean, that's what I refer to it as.
Absolutely. But what I mean is that I don't think I really thought about like when I would do it. I really didn't have any like preconceived notions about
in the past, like 10 years ago. Or
yeah,
whatever.
20. Who knows?
Because 11 years ago we knew each other. So
right.
Definitely.
It's probably more than 20 even.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of occurred, and I got some women together and we kind of chatted about it, and we decided that, we liked the name Cutting Edge Theater Company, and you made the logo for us.
Hey, we're not plugging me on any of this stuff. I'm not doing it.
But I'm very grateful for it. We love
welcome.
it, and it's still working.
So there was something about the theater being done in Toledo that you wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, it took us a little while to kind of find our niche. I mean, I wanted to do brand new works. There's not a lot of people writing theater in this area. And so that became kind of an issue. Also, the place that I came from was a writer would come in and we would do table reads, and then they would go away and fix some things and come back. Not a lot of people were open to that. Sometimes writers get real persnickety about what they've written, which I respect. I mean, it's their baby. Absolutely.
Yeah. How dare you tear my baby?
That's right.
My baby's beautiful.
That's right. But here's the issue with that. When it comes out of my mouth and it feels awful, or it feels uncomfortable, or I don't understand the through line of it, then I need you to go and kind of think about that and rework it. So then I look to the director, because the buck stops with me, right? I am the artistic director. I am a director. I am the choreographer. I am also in charge of hiring all of you, the lighting guy, the sound guy, or whatever. So bottom line is, if that fails, it's still on my plate. But so that was one thing I wanted to do. I also wanted to include American Sign Language, which we did on 3 or 4 different shows within Cutting Edge Theater Company.
Why do you want to put that in there for?
Okay. So here's the honest to God
truth.
truth.
Throw that out. I just wanted to do this for
no. Okay. So a very long time ago, I did a show in Royal Oak, Michigan, and there was a troupe that came through, and what they would do is they would put the people in costume, and they would literally shadow the actor and do sign language, okay? I can honestly tell you, it was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had.
Wow.
Watching this troupe of American Sign Language actors follow, and it was oh my gosh, I'll think of the name of the show in a minute, but watching them express what is being sung at the same time, it was a beautiful experience.
Is that how you do it then? Is that how you do it then? Do you it was Children of Eden? Is that was the show you saw?
Yes.
Oh, that Children could be an emotional show too.
Yes. And
with
so
Eve up there crying and
oh
stuff.
my gosh.
Boy.
Well, the guy who was following our God, the guy who was playing God, forget about it. So good. And I was just like...
So they were not just signers, they were actors.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, this is theater. So it wasn't like, when you see on the news the little cute person in the box signing.
No,
it wasn't like that at all. They were a very definite, integral part of the experience.
Fantastic.
And so we did that as well. And we played back and forth. We had some people who were like part of the ensemble being, signed. Some people, who would stand in certain places at different times to sign, but they were in full costume. So they were definitely a part of the show. So that was a big part of what I wanted to bring to the area as well.
Is there a big following for that, though? I mean, in this area?
Unfortunately, no. I was surprised. I know that there is a deaf community in Toledo, but trying to get them to come was a whole nother thing.
It's a brand new thing for them as well, though. So if they don't know to look for it, that's a hard sell.
And there weren't a lot of people who were, like in the show, we had 3 or 4 different signers, all of which were hearing and one who was not. So imagine as a director, now for you, I can speak to you and tell you how I want you to be, this kind of thing. For you, I have to have them interpret my words for you, and I have to think of body language moments that cue you as to when you start.
Oh. Wow, you put a lot of extra work on yourself then.
Really, you think?
And you have to trust that they're a good actor because you don't know if they're,
that's right.
they're saying it right.
And so I had a really wonderful young lady who really was kind of like my go-to. Are you, how do we fix the language? How are the words going to come across in the American Sign Language? So if someone who is deaf or hard of hearing going to be able to understand what's being said. So it was a lot. You're right. It was like basically doing 2 completely different shows. You have actors and the singers and dancers, and then you have your American Sign Language cast, and you're trying to integrate the 2, but their experience is very different than your, I guess, hearing cast.
Wow.
So,
and I've never seen you do a show with that, so I'm very disappointed in myself.
You should be.
I am.
Little Shop of Horrors was all signed.
Wow.
Hair we did with signing.
See, that's the thing that you've brought with Cutting Edge is this whole podcast is just 2 average middle-aged guys here. Okay, we don't know anything
I'm
about
not middle-aged.
Oh no, you're like at least 20,
yeah.
Barely able to sneak into a bar.
That's right.
So we don't know lots of shows.
Right.
If it weren't for our children being in shows, our sons being in shows, and my daughter as well, I wouldn't know anything. So when we were growing up, we didn't know stuff. So you have brought shows through Cutting Edge that are unique.
Well, yes and no. I mean, let's be clear. Hair is very well known. But did I bring something different to the table? Yes. Little Shop of Horrors. It's a well-known show. Did I bring something different to it? We had a guy in drag playing the plant.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, I am really disappointed in myself. Seriously.
Do you know what I mean? So that was hugely different. Cabaret, which your son was a participant in.
Nobody's doing that locally, though. That's
no. It was done 3 times.
Really?
Once was done at Adrian at Siena Heights. Once it had been done at UT, I believe. But the difference is, example, your son played the character of the little Nazi boy. I used the Nazi boy in a variety of ways throughout the show, which is not written. Basically, the Nazi boy is honestly supposed to be on. He's taped.
Yeah, I saw. I did
He's
notice
taped,
that. He's not even
and
supposed to
you
be
never
there.
see him.
You're right.
But I used Gabe to be scary. That he was a tattletale. That he was the one who was,
I didn't like him.
Was telling no,
I didn't like him. He was a little ass.
No, and that.
sure.
But that is.
He's awful. He like personified awful evilness. I'm like, ugh.
But here's the thing, and that's the thing about Cabaret that I think is so awesome. The point of the matter is, a lot of the folks who were brought into or taken in by the Nazis, they didn't know any different, or they were brainwashed. I think a lot of kids, example, the Nazi child, was brought into it because of the parents, or they were sent away to this school to be trained. And so what his job was, or my take on what his job was that he was going to tell on everybody.
Yeah, if he's
so
a good
when he
German
showed
citizen,
up, that's right.
You know,
he would tell. So that made him scarier. I also, in Hair, brought policemen into it. During the 60s, my parents were hippies, and I was a hippie child. Oh, I just dated myself. Sorry. But so that being said, I asked a lot of questions of my folks. Like, what were you doing? What was the energy like? What was the music like?
Were you excited to hear those answers?
I kind of was, just to see. And I asked a lot of different people. It wasn't just my parents. I mean, I knew that they were a part, they were a part of that. But the point I'm trying to make is that then I picked two guys who weren't singers, who just walked around in police uniforms and would basically move the cast when I wanted them to move.
That's a great idea.
So
they were herding the cast around.
Well, because they would show up. Think about it. The cops would show up at a smoke-in or whatever. What does that mean? Everybody moves.
Did it add a little tension to the scene?
Absolutely.
Yeah, a little scariness there, yeah.
And that was the point, because when you hear about the 60s, the cops were always the enemy, the man, right? So the man became the cops. And so the cops became these people who would make them move or, disperse, get out of here, kind of thing. So,
but cleverly use them to
exactly
move cast members around.
without doing real blocking.
So, can you name all the shows you've done at Cutting Edge? No,
probably not off the cuff. Hair was our biggest one. We also like to do ones that aren't necessarily well known. First Date.
Yes,
First
I was
Date,
telling Ron about that.
Hysterical.
See,
Cast of two?
And these are the ones.
No, that was the last 5 years.
Last 5 years.
Last 5 years is a 2-person show. But
you doing those shows made me go listen to those shows,
right?
Because I'm like, what is this? Yeah. I have never heard title of the show.
Yeah,
what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So I go listen to it. I'm like, oh, I
or I love
like
you. You're
this
perfect
one
now.
too.
Change.
Yes,
freaking hilarious show. Anybody who's ever been married, you got to fucking listen to that show.
Yeah, see, it's like this is
funny.
what we need in this area, though. Too, we can't all be doing Little Mermaid. Because I would shoot myself in the head.
Okay, first of all, I will never do it. Anyway.
Well, of course you would. You're cutting
Spring
edge.
Awakening.
Spring Awakening was a big one.
Were some of these adult rated R?
Most of my shows are.
How did you handle some of that Toledoans might be shocked at?
Well, I hope they are.
Oh, good.
You should never walk out of... Let me for me, you should never walk out of a show of mine that doesn't make you feel something. You can be angry at me. Maybe you're laughing. Maybe it makes you contemplate the world differently. But you will never walk out of a show of mine without something to think about.
Like, oh, that was a nice show.
No.
What's for dinner?
No.
no, not that.
like the last 5 years, you walk out of there and you're like, oh, man, that was a little...
I might as well just...
Yeah, that didn't...
Did not end the way I thought.
No,
yeah.
You're like, oh,
I have no idea. I'm a dad. I haven't seen these.
No, but that's what it was. It's a show you go to and you see it and you're like, oh, I should probably be better to my wife.
Yeah.
Now, how do you weigh doing
You're asking about her weight?
An unpopular, an unknown show that might not bring in a lot of money?
Okay, so that has been difficult, but how we've been trying to handle it is this. So we do a known show, Hair. I'll just use that as an example. And then maybe the next show is not so well known. Then we also added, now I don't know now that there's been COVID and everything, how fast this is going to come back, but we also are doing something that nobody else is doing, which is we have a program called Pitch a Show. Pitch a show. And basically what that means is, let's say just by some slim chance in hell, you were like, yes, I need to do a show. And you pick the show, whatever it is. Let's say it's Into the Woods. And you know all your friends are like, I'm going to cast Kyle as this, and I'm going to cast these, right? And I'm going to cast it myself. You will then come to me and pitch it. You're going to say, Stephanie, this is what I've got. These are the people who are willing to do the show with me. I even have a music director picked out. And then I say, okay, let me see how I feel about that. If it's good for Cutting Edge, if it's something I feel comfortable with, do you have a director? If you don't, and you'd like me to direct it, then we need to talk about that, obviously. Or if you have somebody, then I have to do my own research on that person to find out if I trust them to be a representative of our company. And then we go from there. But then we will produce it for you. Last 5 years was a produced Pitch a Show. It was given to me. Michael and Rhiannon brought it to me, said, we'd like to do it. We'd like you to direct. Todd is already Todd Schreiber, who is an awesome music director. Todd Schreiber has already agreed to do the music directing. And I'm like, awesome, I'm in.
They really had it laid out easy for you. That was super simple.
Beautiful. I mean, and as a director, it's really great because I already know the actors. I knew them both when they were in high school. You know, it's all good.
And they obviously want to do it, so they're going to bust their ass doing this.
That's right.
Do they have to pay money to get you to do this? Wait,
no.
How does this?
Cutting Edge takes responsibility for the production, but that means that we also reap all the reward.
You make all the money.
So if there's any sales made from concessions or ticket sales, or, we also have gotten our liquor license the last couple of shows, and we sell beer and wine, so we are able to make money out of that. Yes. So anything like that. We have T-shirts and we have cozies and, stickers and stuff.
They do all the work and you get all the...
Well, not really, because, honey, I'm the one who's putting up the lights, and I'm putting up the sound, and I built the set, and I'm the one who talked about costumes, and I'm the one who did all the marketing. And
possibly directing.
And people don't realize that every single musical out there, for the most part, off the cuff, I cannot think of one that doesn't. I must pay the rights for that.
Yeah.
So that means that if I do hair, it's $1,500. That's without a cast member cast. That's without anything even picked yet. Right. I picked the show. I must pay for it.
Right.
So that's why.
And if it bombs, you make nothing. You lose
and I make
money.
nothing. Lip title of show, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Because it literally was the weekend before the world shut down.
Oh my God.
So we were able to perform it for 20 people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe it was a little bit more than that, but not much.
Do you still have the rights? Can you do it now?
No.
Yeah.
No. So we lost that. And honestly, now this is something I am proud of for Cutting Edge, is that was the first and only show that we've ever lost money on.
And that was out of your control.
And that was completely out of my control.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't have
Nobody could have prepared me for that.
No, show quality and all that had nothing
to do with it. It had everything to do with...
Not the most popular shows, well-known shows can work. Can be done. You can do them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, that's the fun part. Like, first day it was brought to me, and they were like, "I think this you would love to do this show, and it's right up your alley, and blah blah blah." And I thought, okay, so I'll listen to it a couple times, and that's when and it's really good.
It's
so
good.
funny.
And that's again, thank you, because you did it. I was like, what is this? I need to go look at this because I'm an old guy who knows nothing about theater. And I go and listen to it. I'm like, oh, wow.
Well, Kyle and I are going to pitch a show, aren't we? We're going to figure it out, though.
Yeah, and then I end up taking things that I hear because of you and other people, and I say, Ron, you need to listen to the soundtrack. And Ron listens to it.
Yeah. And I start crying. I'm a dude who watches football and talks fantasy football, and now I'm crying.
Right, that's what theater's supposed to do, though. That's what it's for. Is that that's why I would never understand these people who say they don't like theater. I'm like, I don't even understand that comment. You have no soul.
Well, so have you been to any Cutting Edge shows?
No, I have not.
Okay, fired.
Fired.
Why am I talking Tim and Martin? No, I'm just kidding.
Loser.
And thanks for coming. So good to talk.
He will though. Don't worry. He'll be coming now. Now that he knows more.
Where is Cutting Edge done?
Well. Here again, please, anybody who might be listening, we need all the support we can get in order to get back on our feet. We are in the black, which not many theater companies can say that, but it's not enough to feel super comfortable because when COVID happened, when the pandemic really, like, we knew we weren't going to be able to come back. We had a rehearsal space that we were paying for. We had an office space that we were paying for. We had a storage unit that we were paying for monthly. That's how well we were doing. I was able to pay for all three of those every month, no problems. Oh, and insurance. I forgot. Those are the ones that, right? Okay. So right now, our stuff, everything cutting edge, is from Blissfield all the way down to Maumee or south. There are so many lovely, wonderful, wonderful people who have been willing to take cutting edge theater stuff into their homes. Now, moving back into potentially coming out of the fog, so to speak, I need to find a rehearsal space. I need to hire a pianist. I need to decide potentially what show is going to happen, what's going to bring people back into the door. And I have to reassess our insurance position. So all of those things have to happen before I can even pick a show and start to really, I guess, analyze, what's going to be our first, dip in the water. Like some theater groups have, and really, you have to understand, I am not against any of the theater groups in this area, but I do not feel comfortable doing a show with masks. When I watched them I did watch a couple of the streamed shows, and they were masked, and your whole face is covered. So any of your potential facial expressions are lost, not to mention the fact that it was very muffled. Outside theater, as much as I love it because I did Shakespeare in the Park, so I love outdoor theater, it is a true testament to your skill because you are fighting the elements of the weather, the bugs.
Helicopters flying over top, I know.
Yeah, it's everything.
Sirens,
right?
yeah.
So that's all good, but Cutting Edge doesn't have necessarily a space like that. We have been working with Niederhauser Community Hall at Olander Park.
Oh, yes.
So we basically show up on a Sunday and build a set, hang lights, put in a sound system, and bring a cast and everything on one day. And then we open on a Thursday.
Wow.
And then on Sunday, we take it all back out and put it back wherever it came from.
It just sounds so glamorous.
It doesn't.
Showbiz,
doesn't it?
Showbiz. Oh, it's just so glamorous.
You know what's the sad part is?
Theater company.
Yeah, the sad part really is that really people don't see that part of it. So they have no concept of the amount of energy that it takes to put up a show and take it down. In our situation. Now, if we were a theater that had their own building and we could leave the lights hanging and we can leave the sound system available and up, that's a totally different animal. There's still strike. You still have to take the set apart and blah, blah, blah.
Right, but they always have a rehearsal
space.
That's
right. But it's a very
different
marquee
that's up promoting the show 24 hours a day.
That's right. So for us, it's a little different, but I think during the pandemic, I started to feel like, and I know that, a lot of people were dealing with depression and what's going to happen. Am I going to, is the company going to come back and blah. Well, I did. I started to feel like we weren't going to be able to come back. Don't
tell me that.
Well, I'm saying that I thought that.
I
felt that way during that time because I was like, how are we going to ever come back from this? I'm, as you know, Kyle, because you haven't seen shit. Called you out.
Points to Ron. You weren't talking to me in that situation.
That's right.
Guilty.
Okay. And whatever. I really like up close and personal theater.
Absolutely.
I am a touchy-feely director. I want the... I'll use actually cabaret. We had dancers coming up and around the stage and throughout the whole space. I had people singing and talking and fighting behind you. So you had to kind of be aware of where everything was.
Life. That's life.
I love that kind of theater.
Yeah.
I love that kind of intimate, up in your face kind of theater. So therefore, I don't want to, and nor did I want to continue doing theater in a way that was so distanced from the audience.
Right, agree.
So I knew that I was going to wait until, like right now, we're sitting in this room, no masks, I'm fully vaccinated, I'm ready to, hit the ground running, so to speak, and I want to know that the folks who are coming to our shows, or the actors or the musicians or the technicians that are working, that we are all safe and that we can do theater in the way that I am not only accustomed to, but am very passionate about.
100% cutting edge.
100%.
Not something,
nope.
not a diluted version of it that nobody's going to give.
Right. Okay, but let's be clear. So what did I do? So what have we done cutting edge to try and stay relevant? We are doing song tag. So I'm sure everyone on Facebook has ever, had these like,
I've seen you doing them.
I know. So, okay, if you have a picture of your cat, send a picture because I need happiness. So, so then like everyone and their brother starts posting their freaking cat, right? Which I thought was cute. All right. But so what Cutting Edge does is basically we have one person a week do a song.
And these people aren't all from Toledo, though.
Oh, yeah. Most of them, yes.
But a lot of them I didn't recognize. I'm like, who's that?
Wait,
that person's talented.
Where do I see this? What?
On our Facebook page.
Okay.
Someday when you grow up, I'm just saying.
Loser, I got it.
Or go on Kyle's Facebook page. It'll be good.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make is, actually, is Gabe interested?
He'll do them. Absolutely. Okay. He's always, you get a hold of him.
Okay.
And it's you.
Uh-huh.
He will listen to you.
Okay.
Not you. Not to Dad.
No, not me.
No.
He won't listen to me. I'm a dumbass. Nobody's going to listen to Dad. He's lame.
Yeah.
But if Stephanie gets a hold of him, you're like a real person with a real director and a real important thing. Yeah. He'll be like, oh, Stephanie wants me to do something.
That's right.
He will absolutely, positively do something for you.
So the idea is that each week we tag somebody. So like, actually it's now 28 weeks ago, I started the whole thing off. And I, basically
28 weeks ago you did it. Oh, wow.
I was number one. But the idea is that, so I sang a little ditty and I kind of talked a little bit about Cutting Edge and what we were going to try and do. And then I tag somebody. So let's say, Ron, I'm going to tag you next. All right. So, hey, everybody, please make a donation to Cutting Edge, www.cuttingedgetheatre.org. And do you know what I mean? And make a donation. And it really, people don't get it. I'm like, dude, I would take $5.
Right.
Right? Like, I will take anything you're willing to share with us because every single penny counts.
Ron's going to donate right after
Yes,
this.
he is. No,
he's already missed a ton of
He's got to like see
That's
stuff.
why he's got to catch up. He's got to catch
so he's got to
up.
go on Facebook
The guilt
and
is
watch
real.
Look
at his face. He's totally guilty. He's like, oh.
But so then I tag somebody else and then they sing something and they tag someone else. But each one, obviously, we're asking, because everyone's going to have different people on their feed, if you will, to make donations. And we haven't gotten a lot, but we've gotten some decent donations. And
there's some decent people.
Yes.
Out there, obviously,
and again, even if it's a ticket price, donate $20.
Right.
This is the point. It's every... because we pay for a P.O. box still. It's little things.
It's everything.
So
that's the thing about this community theater and theater in general. Everything costs money. So if you love theater, keep it going. You're only investing in yourself.
Yeah.
Because if all these theater companies go away, then what the hell are you going to do on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Well, I don't think we're all going to go away, but I do think that...
Well, I hope not.
No.
Let's not talk like that.
No, I don't think Cutting Edge is going anywhere. It was funny when I even broached the subject with the board. They were like, no. I was like, okay, I guess we're staying.
Well, good,
which made me feel good.
You drop it, they're going to pick it up.
Right. I hope so. I've told them that for the board that from day one. I was like, dude, if I kick it, I hope that this continues.
Kick it.
Come on, I could get hit by a bus someday,
Absolutely.
or something. But I want Cutting Edge to have its own space and to be as relevant as the theaters that I worked with in Michigan.